countdown to the last comic shop in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, it is now time for the last comic.
Hey.
Are you okay? What happened?
I changed personalities there for a second.
Well, in that case, we better open this shop up as fast as we can to get these newbies in so they can understand what the heck is going on.
That's right. And keep it open for those oldies who, after they die at the steps of the comic shop, we can resurrect them to be our fists of the last comic shop.
And protect everyone coming into the comic shop. You will not mess with our customer, sir.
That's right. We were thinking about big toes, but fist sounds better, right? I don't know. The big toe of the last comic shop. That's this guy, the host with the most, Andy Larson, and welcome back to another week. I'm joined by my regular co-hosts, J.A. Scott and Chad Smith, as well as the wonderful Mikey Wood. Yes, we often have him on DC-related episodes, but today we're going to bring him back for a Marvel one, as we're talking about Moon Knight. And all things Moon Knight in preparation for the Disney Plus series that will be debuting tomorrow on the TV screens everywhere. So, yeah, the next big MCU TV show. Mikey, as our guest on this show, Moon Knight. What do you think? Are you going to be watching it?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I like the Moon Knight. Well, I like certain Moon Knights. Moon Knight has had 6,000 series. Like,
yes.
He has literally had, like, they run for, like, 15 issues and they're like, let's do it again. And like sometimes he's a guy that cuts people's faces off, and then sometimes he's Batman. It looks like the series is basing it on a little Warren Ellis, which is good.
Yeah, it's very good, because on today's program, that's going to be the comic book we're going to be covering after we talk a little bit more about this show. We're going to be covering the first 6 issues of that particular Moon Knight series written by Warren Ellis. You know, one of the things that I wanted to kind of piggyback on what Mikey Wood just said, and it's something that Chad's brought up on this show so often, the obvious parallels between Moon Knight being at Marvel and, you know, that other caped crusader that's more famous over at DC and Batman.
I don't remember bringing this up. Where are you going with this?
Well, what I'm saying is, one thing that we used to talk about all the time was we used to make parallels between Batman and Daredevil, and how the fact that, like, because Batman is so well known, you can't really do a lot of crazy stuff with him, well, long term, because, like, ultimately fans will get really angry about that. But with Daredevil, you can do anything. I feel like Moon Knight takes that one step further. It's like, this isn't even Daredevil. Like, now we can do anything with this guy. Right, Chad?
Well, for me, Moon Knight is a sometimes food. And I can understand why he's had 6 million different series, because I can read and enjoy a Moon Knight book for about maybe 10 to 12 issues. And then, like, there's just something about Crazy Pants Moon Knight where it's like, oh, that's really cool how crazy and badass he is. And then after so many issues, it's like, yeah, he's still just crazy and badass. And I'm going to read something else. And then they come out with another one. The next Moon Knight's like, look, I'm crazy and badass, and now I think I'm Captain America and Spider-Man. And Wolverine, you're like, all right, that's awesome. And then, all right, whatever. For whatever reason, and I'm excited to see how well this show does, if they can change my perception of Moon Knight as he's the most DC of all the Marvel characters, and that I think he's built for traits. He's built for a story. Mm-hmm. And then we put him away for a while. And like, you know what? I could use some crazy badass stuff. Let's go back to Moon Knight again.
Yeah. Well, one thing we're going to talk about, and I want to get J.A.'s thoughts, is the casting of Oscar Isaacs as Moon Knight in this upcoming show. I mean, we're, as Star Wars fans, J.A., do you think this is good casting?
I love Oscar Isaac. Outside of the Star Wars stuff, he does some incredible movies. He's really good. If you saw Ex Machina, really good in that. But my question is, does this now raise him to the top of the food chain when it comes to, like, Disney? Can he, like, walk around the halls of Disney and, like, I'm bringing in all the money, biatches?
Yeah. Well, it's true. I wonder if some of the other folks from the sequel trilogy could get in on this. Like, all right, real quickly, I'll just throw it out to the great. Like, if you were going to take some of the other main cast members from Disney Star Wars sequel trilogy, who would you cast them as members of the Marvel Universe? We'll start off with Mikey. Who would you like to see John Boyega play in an MCU-related show?
He would be super cool as the Strange Academy kind of modern version of Brother Voodoo. Like, yeah,
Dr. Voodoo.
Cool. Dr. Voodoo is what he's being called now. Yeah, that's right. And like, he's super cool, and I think Boyega could do it. He's got a good voice.
All right, J.A., who do you think Daisy Ridley could play in an MCU-related movie or show?
Betsy Braddock. So the original Psylocke, when she was with the X-Men and wearing the armor and going after Sabretooth and all that before she became a ninja and all that other stuff. The original Betsy Braddock, the original Psylocke. That would be cool.
I was going to say the one we talked about on our Mutant Massacre show. Editor's note, check out Mutant Massacre episode number 11.
There you
yes,
go.
Stan, that's the one.
But I would also love to see her, like, not only in playing that part, but like the more recent stuff, like from like the Hickman, where she's like basically a Captain Britain now, like, and give her the Captain Britain powers, let her run around, like that would be cool for Daisy and kind of an awesome play on the character. All right, Chad, you got the third one. Who would you want to see Adam Driver play?
Oh boy,
in an MCU related movie?
As much as I don't like that guy, like there's something weird about him that's just a little bit off for me personally. He's a really good actor. I feel like whatever you throw at him, he'll be fine. Make him Namor. Put him in Speedos.
Namor, yeah.
Oh shit, that is inspired casting.
He would never ever do it, but dude, put him in there. Yeah. And
give him the 70s costume where he's not in the skivvies, where he's got like the full wetsuit. And
Henry Cavill would be Captain Britain. He actually wants to be Captain Britain, which is Henry Cavill's my man crush. So you guys know, like that man he was manufactured in a lab. Like, anyway.
But again, back to the Moon Knight show and how, I won't lie, I'm going to be checking it out because I like, from what I've just seen in the trailers, like, I think it's intriguing, like the guy's losing time and, that one scene where he gets out of the bed and he's like tied to the bed because he doesn't know where he's going to go. Like, I think it could be cool, but I think to Chad's point, like, I'm hoping that it can contain my attention for 6 episodes, and the fact that maybe just because it's a limited number of episodes, they'll be able to tell a nice story arc, and then again, I don't know about a season 2, but we'll see.
I heard people complaining about Oscar Isaac British accent in the trailer, but like you can guarantee he's not going to have it through the whole show. He'll probably have that British accent for one episode.
Maybe that's a personality thing.
Well, that's as most people probably know if you know anything about Moon Knight. Moon Knight is 4 different people. So, he's one person with 4 different personalities. One personality is Mark Spector, who he is, and the other one is the Fist of Khonshu, who is Moon Knight, and then there's 2 more. One's like a cab driver or something, and I don't remember.
Jake, and then Larry.
But not Frenchie. Frenchie's his
George.
Frenchie is his Alfred.
Yeah, that was his 90s Alfred. I don't know if
Larry, Daryl, my other cousin Daryl.
Right.
Yeah.
To me, that Moon Knight is this weird thing because he's super rich, but do they ever explain where the money comes from? He's gun running.
He's a mercenary. He found a lot of treasures.
He made his first appearance was in an episode. It was in an issue of Werewolf by Night, which you got werewolf whose name was Jack Russell. Marvel. But I'm a Marvel character. But Jack Russell Terrier was a werewolf, and Moon Knight, moon-themed werewolf. That's where he first came in. Oh, God. Like I said, there's been so many issues. And I tried to read all the Moon Knight stuff, but they lost me in the 90s. The series that everybody liked, I didn't like. But the old issues with Bill Sienkiewicz artwork and stuff from the first series are superb.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that a little bit more after the commercial breaks because we're going to be starting to talk about the comic books. Make sure that you, again, tune in to Moon Knight. That'll be airing tomorrow. We'll probably have some things on our Twitter, maybe one of those Twitter streams or something, like a stream room or something. Space. That's right.
Like the Space Coke. Did you guys try Space Coke yet? Coke?
No, we're not talking about the Space Coke. No. We'll have a Twitter space to talk about Moon Knight in the upcoming days.
Space.
So make sure that you check out our Twitter to check that out. But stay tuned. More Last Comic Shop right after this. 6 issues of Moon Knight. Was it good? Was it bad? We'll see.
Space tastes like Coca-Cola, but with more like a cotton candy aftertaste, apparently.
Mars smells like salt and vinegar potato chips. Did you know? That's true. Scientifically, that's true.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nick. I'm the host of Nikolai's Kitchen, and I'm also the host of the annual Live Stream for the Cure. Live Stream for the Cure is a charity event where we raise money with content creators and podcast partners from around the world for the Cancer Research Institute, a wonderful nonprofit researching cancer immunotherapy, training the body's immune system to fight all forms of cancer. This is a mission and a future that I truly believe in. And myself and my team worked tirelessly over the past 5 years to raise over $50,000 for this cause. This year, we're aiming for our biggest single goal to date of $20,000, and we cannot do it without your help. Please join us for the event May 19th through the 21st, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern, for 45 hours of content from people all over the world. Together, we can bring hope for a future immune to cancer. The more eyes we reach, the more dollars we raise. Please help us in making this goal a reality. Together, we can make a difference.
All right, we're back with more of The Last Comic Shop, and it is now time for a Read Pile Review. Yes, where you may not know much about Moon Knight, but we're going to school you on it, because that's what you should have. Schooling before you go to class.
What? That's not what people want.
That's what people should need. You're going to really enjoy this Moon Knight show that's going to be on Disney Plus tomorrow. You should know a little bit more about the comic books that they're based on, and that's what we're here for at The Last Comic Shop. And the one that we picked today, again, is the 2015 incarnation of Moon Knight, and it's the first 6 issues, particular series. And J.A., who did that particular series?
All right, so these were written by Warren Ellis with art by Declan Shalvey. Colors were handled by Jordi Belair, and VC's Chris Iliopoulos did the lettering.
If you're going to your local comic book shop, you can pick this up in a trade called From the Dead.
Also available on Comixology Unlimited currently. The first 2 trades.
Yeah, the second trade's written by, I think, Brian Wood. But we're just doing the first trade today. Believe it or not, these are all kind of like single issues, like back in the day, where it's like these are one and done. So actually, if you go to your local comic book shop and just find one of the issues, it's okay. You can still just pick it up and enjoy a Moon Knight issue. But as a result of that, instead of a 10-cent synopsis this week, we're going to have a 6-cent synopsis, because there's 6 issues. And everybody is going to get a chance at this one. Yay! That's called teamwork. And so everybody's going to talk about one of the issues with 1 sentence. So we're going to go ahead and start off with Chad in issue 1. What's the sentence for issue 1, Chad?
Moon Knight puts on a smart-looking white suit and punches some goopy S.H.I.E.L.D. guy.
J.A., what's the sentence for issue 2?
Moon Knight watches a sniper kill 9 people and then stops him from murdering the 10th.
All right. Issue 3, Chad?
Moon Knight puts on a suit of bones and punches ghosts.
We're seeing a common theme here. Issue 4, Mikey.
It's the Telltale Heart, but with brain spores.
All right, take issue 5, too, since that was so good.
It's that Judge Dredd movie with Carl Urban in it, or The Raid, but with Moon Knight. It's actually really cool.
It is. And issue 6 is mine. Black Spectre just wants to be loved. Aww.
Yes.
Yes. And so let's go ahead and get into our initial thoughts. Of course, we're going to explain a little bit about where this is all coming from. J.A., we'll start off with you. What did you think of these 6 issues written by Warren Ellis?
Yeah, I guess there were 6 issues. It really was 6 vignettes. I mean, you don't even get a full story in each issue. It's sort of, they're really fast to read. There's not a lot of dialogue. They don't really delve into why Moon Knight is doing what he's doing, other than he protects travelers at night. I don't know. It was quite jarring at the beginning to see Moon Knight walking around without color. Everything else is colored, and he's just black and white, but like they forgot to paint him. I mean, obviously it was the choice, but I was like, wait, did they forget that art there? Or, no, oh, I get it now. But if he was walking, why are the bottoms of his shoes white? Wouldn't they be, smudged or something? I can't keep my sneakers clean. That being said, once I got the premise, every story is different. Every story is just sort of a snapshot. It was like watching that old Four Rooms movie that was Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez and some other people. So you get like a one overarching character and then all these little set pieces. And it was interesting. It was a fun, fast read. I don't know if it could sustain over like 20 issues. Would you get sick of that after a while? Would you want some more redeeming thread, something to hold these together maybe? I don't know. But for 6 issues, it was really good. I thought the stories got progressively better. The last 2 were probably the best.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. And I think, honestly, there was kind of like a wink, wink, and nudge, nudge here with Warren Ellis's writing in the fact that, like, pretty much because Moon Knight is just the Marvel equivalent of Batman, he kind of just sets it all up like, hey, you know Batman, right? He's got like this police commissioner guy that calls him in under the police. He investigates crimes. Remember that Batman guy? Yeah, it's just it's just the same dude. So you're reading a Batman story, but it's at Marvel, and I'm just going to tell weird and wonky stories.
I disagree. I don't think these are inherently Batman knockoff stories as much as they are. Here's Moon Knight. We want to establish he's more than just a crazy guy. We want to establish he's a crazy badass guy. And why does he wear the white suit? Because he likes when people see him coming. Why does he do the things that he does? Because he is, the fist of this god. And he's sworn to protect travelers at night. So as long as you are a night traveler, he's going to come to your aid. But no, I thought the art in this book was really fantastic. You can't go wrong with Declan Shalvey art. I thought the writing did a great job of not getting in the way of the art. Like each of these little vignettes, Ellis knows when to let the fight choreography do its thing. And I think this was like right at the time when Marvel cut down from 22 pages an issue to 20 pages an issue. Like you can feel the briefness, I guess. It might even have been more jarring in these. But I thought each issue brought something interesting to the table. Whether it was that bone suit or whether it was, when he's going through the raid and he is just brutalizing the people that are inside that building and he kicks the one guy so hard that he pukes.
Yes.
There were lots of moments in here that were really brutal and visceral and you felt it, but boy, did they make Moon Knight out to be a badass. And as I said at the intro to the show, reading it for 6 issues, I'm like, all right, Moon Knight is awesome. But it's also something that runs its course really quickly because I think once you get past some of the surface level stuff, there's not a lot of meat on the bone here.
Yeah, well, that reminds us of a conversation that we had about movies and about how you guys think 3 hours is too long for a movie.
Yes, it is.
I read all 6 of these issues in about 10 minutes. They just go by so, like, they're so short. They're so brief. I don't know. I they were neat, and they were that sort of like slightly kind of bonkers that Warren Ellis does, and that Moon Knight lends himself to. And I like in the first issue where they give you a history of Moon Knight. Like they tell you, if you're a new reader, they tell you through a couple of narrations who Moon Knight is, and they even mention the slicing off of faces kind of thing, which is horrible. But anyway, it just went by too fast. And then just as it was gaining speed, Ellis is off the book. I don't know why. I don't know if he just intended on it being 6 issues or what the deal was there. Just as it's getting interesting, it ends.
That was a shock to me because I had saw that there was volume 2, but I didn't delve into it. I didn't read it. I was like, I'll read it after the show. Continue this, and he's gone. As Andy said, he's done. Yeah, there's somebody else to fix up the writing. I'm like, what the heck? It's like 6 issues, but honestly, it's like he wrote 1 issue, 2 issues, maybe, right?
Yeah, they just bring him in as a fixer, and here's a broken character, fix him up, make him cool, and then go off and do something else.
Yeah.
So basically, he did 6 issues to get to when you see me coming, run.
Right. Well, I will say this, that to Mikey Wood's point about how short they are. Like for example, the issue with brain spores. I almost thought that was like 1/2 of an issue. Like they used to do with the Amazing Spider-Man, where you get 2 stories, like in the very, very early Amazing Spider-Man issue. And I thought that was the same way with like the ghosts that were punks, the punk ghosts. I was like, that's not really a story. Nothing happens there. He puts on some armor and he punches some people and he finds somebody, and I still don't know why that mattered at the end.
I was going to say, what do you mean? They were all there. They all looked really cool. What else do you want?
I want something like issue 6. Issue 6 was by far the best issue of this. I mean, issue 5 was great, but that was just great because that was just nonstop action from beginning to end. That was just an interesting collection of panels and how he goes up the staircase. That's all it was. Issue 6 had substance behind it. It's about this cop that basically wants to be Moon Knight. I'm still going to go back to it as a play on Batman. It's like if you had, I don't know, Harvey Bullock. Not even that. Like some Yahoo person on the Gotham City police force that didn't know anything. And he's really jealous of how much Commissioner Gordon talks to Batman and stuff. It's the same thing here. It's like Moon Knight comes in and everybody's in awe of him. So he's like, dang it. All of my life I've been put down and people's told me I'm not good enough. I will be Moon Knight. In fact, I'll be better than Moon Knight. I'll be Moon Knight's arch enemy, the Black Spectre. And so he goes and he trains and stuff, and he kills his wife.
Yeah, that was brutal. That scene where he's explaining it to her. She's like, wait, how are you going to do this? And he's like, that's the other thing. There's no ties. And then he kills his wife with that dart.
But it was fitting because, this guy's psychotic. This guy's off the rails, and he's committed. He is committed to people liking him as the Black Spectre. He is going to be better than the Moon Knight. And at the end, Moon Knight just kicks the shit out of him. K.O. And then, leaves him there. And he's like, you know why I'm better? Because I don't want to be liked. If you're that dark, if you're that disturbed, like Moon Knight is, you don't want to be liked. You don't care.
Here's where I get controversial. Because one has to wonder, with what has come to light about Warren Ellis since these books came out, if Warren Ellis having Moon Knight say, people who love me get hurt, that's Warren Ellis actually speaking through the character. Because there's been some, if you don't know what's happened with Warren Ellis, it's what's happened with a lot of creators. He abused his power when it came to women. And, it's unfortunate, but one has to kind of wonder if that's sort of a little bit of a because, you put a little bit of yourself into everything that you write, I would imagine.
Well, let's go around there because I named my favorite issue and why I liked it. I mean, this is a collection of 6. Was there anybody that thought there was an issue better? We'll start off with J.A.
Yeah, issue 5, The Raid. It's a copy of a copy of a copy, so it's pure homage. And issue 6 is just stereotype.
Oh, all right. Chad, did you have an issue that you particularly liked other than the ones brought up?
I really like that suit. I just, for whatever reason, the idea of this lunatic walking down the streets in an all-white suit, all-white mask, and good God, forgive the social implications. It looks badass. That's all there is to it. It's all style. That's just what this book is. I don't know. So anytime he showed up in that white suit, just looking badass, I'm like, all right, I'm down for it.
Mikey?
It's funny that Chad used the word lunatic because Luna, meaning moon, that's where it comes from. You learned something by listening to this podcast.
Oh, you're just teaching everybody today.
Seriously,
bringing it all today.
Professor Wood.
No, but I joked about it, but I actually really enjoyed the one I said was the Telltale Heart. Moon Knight investigates a sleep study where everyone turned out ill or dead or something. But when he traveled into this dream realm, it was super cool. The visuals were really neat.
Oh yeah, and the colors, man, compared to the absence of color everywhere else, that issue has color bursting everywhere.
Yeah,
we suddenly went trad more.
Yeah, it's this weird fever dream kind of thing, very much dealing with mushrooms and spores and kind of things because it has something to do with what ends up happening in the finale. But that was a good one.
So I guess my next question for everybody that involved here is, again, we're recommending this to new comic book fans that maybe not have ever read Moon Knight. And I mean, there's been a lot of other Moon Knights that you can pick up. There's one done by Jeff Lemire. There's one done by Brian Michael Bendis. There's the original Doug Monk with that Bill Sienkiewicz art. I actually wanted to read that one on today's show, but there's not really a good quote-unquote arc that's like only like 6 issues. Like you have to read like a ton of that run to really enjoy it. So like that might not be the best for comic book fans coming in off the street. But guys, honestly, like, do you think somebody just watching the Disney Plus show tomorrow, they go to the local comic book shop and pick up this book? Is this going to be giving them everything they need to enjoy it?
It looks like they're pulling from it. It looks like they're, because he's in the suit. But I don't know if this particular series is one that I would say, hey, if you want to start reading Moon Knight, start with this. Because it will just confuse the shit out of people. It'll just, like start earlier. Like started. There was this really good 4-issue miniseries, and Doug Monk wrote it, and Tommy Lee Edwards drew it, and I can't remember what year it was, but it was a 4-issue miniseries, and it was really good, and it gives you everything you need. I would recommend that one before I would recommend this one, even though this one is good. I would say, hey, read this first, and then if you want your brain to melt, read the Warren Ellis one.
I would say that this one is not going to melt your brain. It's entertaining. And so if you're somebody that is new to comics and you just want to be entertained, you don't want to spend a lot of time doing homework or doing the legwork, I think this is a solid collection. The stories are quick, but there's not a bad one in the bunch. And then once you decide that you really like Moon Knight and you want to dig into that Bill Sienkiewicz run, or if you want to dig into my recommendation later, alluded spoilers, you can check out those. But as bad as I feel about recommending something for Warren Ellis, knowing what we know now, this is a nice surface level, hey, I want to dip my toes in the water. It's fun.
Yeah, it's very much the amuse-bouche of Moon Knight stories.
It was amusing.
Oh, that's so bad. Yeah, I think I'm with Chad on that. Read this. If you like it and you want to read about and find out about the character, actually, then, there are some much better series to do it, because you're not going to learn a lot about sort of what makes him tick, why he has a car that self-drives itself, where all his money comes from, why he's all about protecting travelers at night.
Well, we're going to talk about some more issues with our recommendations as part of the next segment, which will also include our rating of this 6-issue run. So stay tuned for that right after these commercial breaks.
Hi folks, this is Sean, Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast. If you enjoy genuine conversation from two guys who love the subjects that they're talking about, give us a listen. We're easy to find. Just search Pittsburgh Nerd on some of your favorite podcast catching apps. Or you can also check out our vlog on YouTube. Just search Pittsburgh Nerd.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dominic, and I want to tell you about the Comic Book Report. It's my YouTube channel where I review, unbox, discuss all things comic collected editions. I review so you can get an idea of what to read. So stop on by and tune in to the Comic Book Report, only on YouTube. You can also find some of my promotional accounts on Instagram at The Comic Book Report and on Twitter at Comic Book RPT. I look forward to hearing from you.
Hey, we're back with more of The Last Comic Shop, and it is now time for our ratings, where we promise not to moon you, but I had to say it. Come on. But we are going to give you some Moon Knight ratings.
I was going to say, I'm a big guy. Don't sneak up on me from behind.
All right. Listen, we've got a 1 out of 4 scale. J.A. likes to give us something fun to rate it by. And so what's the rating scale for this week, J.A.?
It's 1 out of 4 moon phases. So is it a crescent moon? Is it more of a waxing gibbous?
You're a waxing gibbous.
Is there a full gibbous?
There's a waning gibbous.
All right, gibbous, your recommendation.
This
Mikey, I'm very impressed with your bad puns today. Doing a great job.
Thank you. Good
so
one.
We're going to go ahead and start off with Mikey Wood, because let's see if he can give us some more puns. Yeah, how many moon phases are you giving us?
I think, like a 2.5. For me, For $3.99, because I bought these when they came out. If it's $3.99, I want the issue to last me at least as long as I have to poop. So, and these don't. They're really short. They're like really short. It's a lot of action and a lot, but they're interesting. So it's like I quite enjoyed it. It's like other thing. I wanted more. Like just when it got interesting, it switched gears. But the next volume is really cool too. 2.5.
All right, Chad.
There's a lot of this that I enjoyed. I thought the art was good. I thought when they wanted it to be trippy, it was trippy. When they wanted it to be brutal, it was brutal. And it is just fun to see a badass character every now and again. That was every movie in the 80s. Like, it was like that. So I'm going to say 3 out of 4. Am I a waxing gibbous? A waning gibbous? 3 gibbuses.
Okay.
A dry gibbous.
J.A., you're up.
6 quick short stories. It was fun. It was interesting. It wasn't quite enough, I think. So I would say that it's more of a waning crescent, not a waxing crescent, a waning crescent. It's slowly going away, maybe. Or maybe it's a waxing crescent. So it's going towards full, but it's not quite full. I don't know. I give it 2.75. So if you haven't read Moon Knight and you just watched the Marvel show and you want to get some Moon Knight, this will probably mesh very well with the Disney Marvel stuff, but a lot more brutal. So don't give this to your 12-year-old because they're going to have nightmares because of brain spores and other things.
Yeah. And that scene where he throws the crescent shuriken up through the one guy's neck when he's going up the stairs. I thought that was brutal.
Yes.
But just not enough. Give me a bit more. Maybe add a couple of extra pages. Give us some more padding. Give us some more moon phases. We need some more moon.
I'm going to say shine on, half moon. Like, this is a half moon. It's a 2. And why it's a 2 is because, half of the issues were good. Half of the issues I forgot. Other than the sport, the end of the spores, I forgot all about the trippy dream stuff. I forgot about the issue with the sniper. And honestly, the one with the ghosts, I thought was 3 pages. I'm like, oh, he punches a ghost and then goes back someplace and then he gets punched by, I don't know. But then there was 2 really good issues towards the end. And so that saved it. And especially that 6th issue. Boy, I loved that issue. I don't know why I love that issue. But it didn't even have to do with Moon Knight. It was one of those books where you're telling a story about somebody that is not the superhero. And it actually ends up being more interesting. So yeah, it's a solid 2. The art was tremendous. I can't fault the art on this. I love that, again, everything in that raid issue, where he throws his coat over the one guy and throws him over the banister. That was just badass. And how is he to say that? Yeah.
But can I defend that 2nd issue? Because I thought that was really neat. It took me a moment to get my bearings with the sniper, how they had the 8-panel grid, and each panel was, one separate character in their different location. And then as the characters are picked off by the sniper, their story becomes that negative space they use for words or for whatever. Just, from a comic creation standpoint, for whatever reason, it made it more brutal as people were getting picked off and plucked off one by one. So it's not to say they're not doing cool stuff with this book, but yeah, it all does go really quick.
Yeah, I think the art is probably the high point, and the art design and how they've laid out the panels and laid out the story. The writing, it's more on sort of plot elements because there's hardly any dialogue. When the dialogue's there, it is very Batman-esque. I'm going to say something very cool. It's just a mask. No, it's your face. She's right. It's my face.
I'd like to see the script pages for this. I'd like to see how Ellis scripted these, because they're very deliberate. Those panels, especially the raid. Everything's very deliberate there, and you wonder if he wrote it that way or if he was they did it the Marvel way. You know what I mean?
Fight scene.
Yeah. The old Marvel way where Stan was like, okay, so Spider-Man fights Stiltman, go to it. And then, gets it back and is like, okay, here's what they say. Yeah, I wonder if that, or I wonder if it's like a Alan Moore phone book of a script.
Well, regardless of what we rated this book, one thing that we always like to do is give you other books check out in addition to this one, and that's called Recommendations. Again, go to your local comic book shop, pick up this Moon Knight trade from the dead, or some of the single issues if you can find them in buck bins, or some of these other things that we're going to tell you about. And we're going to go ahead and start off with the wonderful J.A. Scott. So, J.A., what do you got for recommendation this week?
So I'm going to go recommending a Punisher Max, the complete collection. So this is Punisher, but Punisher under Marvel's Max series line, or under the Max branding. So it is definitely for adults only. This is Punisher in his gory best. You get a story about sort of his coming of age in Vietnam. Microchip shows up and basically blows Punisher's face off after he blows his arm off. Punisher, is he going to play a patsy for the CIA? They try to get him involved. They're all self-contained stories, but each story runs about 3 or 4 issues long. But it's all very violent and uncompromising. It's the DC version of a Punisher book. It's like the black label of Punisher comics.
Yeah. I'm not a Punisher guy, and I haven't read the Max series, but like I feel like that's the one area where Punisher works, where it's more realistic, except no one has shot him in the face yet. I feel like the Punisher should just get shot in the face in issue 5, and that's the end of Punisher. The end.
I wasn't a big fan of Garth Ennis's work until I read Punisher Max, to be honest. And then after that, I was just like, ooh. And then I followed that up with Fury Max, which I'm hoping that someday we'll review on this show, because I just think that is an absolutely awesome series.
Oh, yeah, with the Gordon Parlov art?
That's brutal, but rightfully so brutal. Like that's a story that does not compromise or pull punches. And I think some of those issues of Punisher Max also do the same thing. So, yeah, if you like your comic books just gory as hell and just dark, go read Punisher Max. It's good.
Yeah, so it's Garth Ennis writing, and then the pencils are shared across some of the story arcs. You got Derek Robertson on pencils and Tom Palmer on inks on the first set. That's the Vietnam story. In the beginning, you've got pencils by Louis LaRosa with inks again by Tom Palmer, and then probably Andrew's favorite of the set is when he's got to fight off a couple of Irish gangs in Hell's Kitchen, and it's called Kitchen Irish. That artist was Leandro Fernandez with colors by Dean White.
All right. Next up on our recommendations is Chad Smith. So, Chad, what do you got for us this week?
So, I said Moon Knight is a sometimes food. Well, now it's Moon Knight time. So we're going to talk about Moon Knight. The new series, as of our recording, 9 issues have come out. The writer has been Jed McKay. The first 5 issues, the art was done by Alessandro Capuccio. But he takes an issue off here or there. But the premise of the series is really cool. It starts off, Moon Knight is back, and apparently the last big go-around with the Moon Knight, he tried to kill all the Avengers. And his god is now imprisoned on Asgard because, it's bad. And so you have Moon Knight, who is the fist of this god. He is the sworn protector of this god. He is sworn to uphold his mission to protect the travelers at night. He is sworn to do all the other parts of his mission that I can't recall right now. But at the same time, he recognizes his god as a bad guy. But he sets up his mission where he's still going to fulfill that mission because he thinks that the goals are worthwhile. And so while he's doing that, the first thing he encounters is the other fist of Khonshu, who shows up. And he's a doctor in his other life. But he's like, you're really not good at this. And they fight! And that's fun because you have the 2 fists going at it. But then the Zodiac shows up, and he's someone who's trying to take out the mission and take out Moon Knight. And so the 2 fists have to team up, and it's more badassery and Moon Knight being cool and crazy. And it's a lot of fun. If you like the Warren Ellis run, I do feel the Jed McKay run here has a little bit more depth to it. And so I definitely recommend the first 6 issues as a trade with the Zodiac. The art is really fantastic. It gets kind of sketchy sometimes, but it's very kinetic. And if you are jonesing for more Moon Knight, this will satiate that need. And then in a couple issues, it'll be time to move on from Moon Knight again. But for now,
I was going to ask you whether or not it seems like Jed MacKay is channeling his inner Matt Fraction there and giving us a little bit of Moon Knight a la the immortal Iron Fist by giving us like, hey, here's other Fist of Khonshu guy. Hey, there's actually been more of you than just the one Moon Knight. I mean, I'm all kidding aside. Is it similar to the immortal Iron Fist in that regard?
Well, yes and no. I mean, there's always the tropes of bringing in the equal but opposite. And it's funny because they throw two equal but opposite Moon Knights at Moon Knight at the same time. Because you get the Hunter's Moon, which is the other fist. And then you get the Zodiac, who's like the equal but opposite, but he's the real bad guy. MacKay's doing enough to keep it interesting. So much so that, like, as a writer, I think this book finally elevated him in my mind to be like, no, if Jed MacKay's going to do a book, I'm going to pick it up. Okay. He consistently puts out really solid stuff. So Moon Knight is part of that. If it's an homage to Immortal Iron Fist, that's a great story anyway. So, like, that's not a bad thing. Like, right? No, I wouldn't say there's enough similarities that I would even compare it. But if you want to talk about, like, yeah, remember the time they had blue lanterns and green lanterns and red lanterns and all, like, they do this all the time with all the heroes. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a totally unexplored trope, but it doesn't mean it's not fun.
Oh, there you go.
Is that the one with vampires in the first issue?
Yes, and he fights the vermins.
Yes.
Apparently Vermin can clone himself now. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that first issue was cool. I read that first issue. That was awesome.
And I should mention his secretary at his mission is a vampire who is trying to not be a vampire. But yeah, it's all kinds of fun.
Okay. Well, speaking of fun, I'm going to go next with my recommendation. And it is actually non-comic book. Like, it's not an actual comic book. For the first time ever, I'm actually going to give a recommendation that's an actual comic book related media thing. And it's actually a cartoon that I watched on HBO Max recently that I just have to gush about because I really enjoyed it. As we're speaking about Moon Knight and the similarities to that Caped Crusader over at DC, my recommendation this week is going to be a Batman animated movie called Soul of the Dragon. It basically casts Batman in a 70s martial arts flick with all the awesomeness that it entails. It basically teams Batman up with Richard Dragon, who is pretty much your stand-in for Bruce Lee in this particular film, as well as some other classic Denny O'Neil characters, such as Bronze Tiger, Ben Turner. So you get him. You also get Shiva. You get O-Sensei. And it really tells a story about Batman going to a monastery in Tibet or wherever and learning the martial arts from O-Sensei. At the same time as a lot of other folks, like, again, Shiva was a part of that class, and this Ben Turner and this Richard Dragon and everything. And there's a horrible secret there. There's a door that, if it's open, will bring forth Naga, the great serpent god. And so originally the kind of like a James Bond-esque evil society of serpents tries to open it and infiltrate the original, monastery and bring forth the god. And then later on, they grab some sort of blade and try to do it again. And all these former students have to team up. And it's really more about Bruce Wayne than it is actually about Batman, because all the characters that did all the training with him knew that Bruce Wayne was eventually going to become Batman. So they're like, Bruce, go put on your underwear because you're much more scary when you do that. So they're part of the joke. And so it's refreshing because, again, Batman's not indestructible here. He's not infallible. He's not the greatest martial artist, actually. Richard Dragon is. He's a better one. Shiva is a better martial artist. But, like, Batman still brings what Batman brings. And so you get this really neat globe-trotting adventure with all of those classic martial arts tropes, like, climbing to the top of a mountain and fighting in front of an evil gate. Your sensei now becomes your enemy, and you have to beat him. So, yeah, I threw it on as a lark, just because, I was like, I needed something to do the elliptical with, and I really ended up enjoying it. So if you like martial arts films, if you like Batman, if you like action films, check out Batman Soul of the Dragon. And now we've got Mikey Wood with his recommendation. Mikey, what do you got for us?
You know, I'm going to go with a DC book because that's what I do to you guys. I'm going to go with a 2004 miniseries from DC. It's The Question, and it ran 6 issues, and it was written by Rick Veitch and drawn by Tommy Lee Edwards. And it was collected in a trade paperback called Falling in Place. And it's the Vic Sage question, the original question. It looks at him in sort of a different way. So it sort of interweaves Eastern philosophy into Western superhero comics. It has to do with Vic Sage actually hearing Metropolis call out to him, and he goes and he ends up getting sort of having to assist Superman on certain things. It's just a really, really interesting book in a similar vein to this kind of thing. So.
And that's awesome. The Question is one of those characters that I've not read nearly enough of, and so I'm always looking for cool question stuff.
Oh, that Denny O'Neil run from the 80s, it's magnificent.
There you know. You know what also is magnificent? The Last Comic Shop. And the fact that you can get it every single week by just reviewing and subscribing over at our website, www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com. That's a terrific place where you can find all of those magnificent podcasting platforms where you can, again, do that subscribing, as well as a link to our YouTube channel where you can find not only all of the episodes of our podcast, but also interviews with independent comic book creators, such as Mikey Wood, who might be putting out Kickstarters and things like that, as well as unboxings of action figures and omnibuses and all kinds of great stuff. So bonus content for all our fans. Check it out, www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com.
And you can also find us on the social medias if you want to continue the conversation. On Twitter and Instagram, we are at Last Comic Shop. Check us out for things like weekly polls, or what's on our pull list, or daily comic book factoids, or cool Golden Age covers to help put you to bed. There's all that and more. And if you need help finding those, you can always go back to our website where they can find what else, J.A.?
We always have links to our merch store. This week, you can get a all white on white suit, white tie, white socks, white shoes, white mask. That's right. Just maybe a color logo in the middle.
Yeah, we do have a logo. And I don't want the white logo on the white shirt. Like, nobody's going to be able to see it. Like, that's not brand awareness.
That is. Oh, that's what we need. We need to do a black and white logo. It's just the line art of the logo on a white shirt.
Oh, jeez.
I like it.
I guess.
That's
Mikey, would you do
crazy.
Mikey has promised that eventually
I
he's
know.
going to come up with a design for one of our shirts. Can you do one of these chalk outline shirts for us, Mikey?
Yeah.
That's too easy.
No,
Yeah.
Mikey, we want to see something action-packed from you. Something like you can get in some of your awesome comic books that you've created, which, by the way, where can they get your wonderful work, Mikey?
Oh, no, I haven't done anything in years. But no, you can find my stuff out there. If you go to Amazon.com and you type in the words Hate Your Friends and Mikey Wood, my graphic novel Hate Your Friends from 2004 will come up with myself and the wonderful Kristen Ross, same person. And Amazon also has Pack of Lies, which was a wonderful jam comic I did with a lot of Pittsburgh artists. It was a film, like a detective noir sort of murder mystery kind of thing. You can read Hate Your Friends and El Phantasma on graphite.com for free. But yeah, so there you go. And I thank you guys. I love being on the show.
We love having you, Mikey. And we love comic shops. And so we encourage everybody to go out to your local comic shop and find some cool stuff, whether it is Moon Knight by Warren Ellis and Declan Shalvey, whether it is The Question miniseries by Rick Veitch and Tommy Lee Edwards. Maybe you want to check out Punisher Max by Garth Ennis and friends, or the new Moon Knight by Jed McKay and Mr. Capuccio. Or maybe you don't want to go to the comic shop. You just want to turn on HBO Max and try to catch Batman, Soul of the Dragon. Get your kung fu fix.
Yeah.
All that and more waits for you in the whole comic book ether. Good luck.
All right. But you never have to have good luck in order to find us at the Last Comic Shop every week. Just make sure that you come back And until then, I was the host with the most, Andy Larson, and I was joined by Jay Scott and Chad Smith, as well as the marvelous Mikey Wood. And until next week, stay safe, stay sane, and remember, when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, it's probably time to get out of the way.
Run! It's Moon Knight!
Why are people throwing food at you? Like, what did you do to them? Got moons thrown at you, pizzas thrown at you. What are you?
If the moon hit somebody in the eye, that would cause a lot of issues with the tides and things to that. I think the world would be destroyed.
When the moon hits your eye,
unless it's one of the
tide.
Comic Shop was a 2022 Black Angus production.